So good afternoon, everyone. So we'll see here. So this webinar, we are actually discussing how to use Python for AWS and also web scraping and how we actually use regular expressions. So this will be a 1 hour session. So we'll try to understand the importance of Python. So before that, let's just start with the just agenda, like we are trying to understand what is Python here and Python, how we use regular expressions. So there is a module called RE module, and we will discuss Python for AWS using with AWS CLI Boto 3 modules, how we use and what is the purpose of this Boto 3. And Python for web scraping. So we use a beautiful SOAP and request modules here. Okay, let's discuss first 50 minutes and then we will open for the questions. We'll discuss the questions as well. So myself, I am Babu. I'm currently working as a DevOps engineer, and we use actually like most of the times Python, and then I work with Ansible and all, and also we use cloud environment AWS. I'm having 13 years of experience, so currently working as a DevOps engineer. So coming to this here, the agenda we actually just now discussed. So we are going to cover first what is actually Python. If you are already good with Python, okay, or just to understand what exactly the Python. So Python is a general purpose programming language. So that is often applied in scripting roles. So most of the times, let's say if you are in some platform working as a DevOps or working as a cloud architect or working as a something data science or working as a network engineering or system administrator or blockchain, whatever the platform. So we use Python to automate the manual things, whatever we are doing generally. So that's why generally here, if you see, most of the times we use for scripting roles. So which means if you are already aware of Python and plus some platform knowledge, and then here actually we are using just, this is for Python automation. So we use this is for Python automation. But let's say, for example, I just want to develop some web application using with Python. So that is again possible with Python and some frameworks, which we call it as MVC or MVT frameworks, model view controller or model view template. So we use something like Django and Flask, Pyramid, like that. There are some tools we use. Okay, so now there are two things. One, if we are working with some specific platform, here Python is playing major role to automate the environment, the platform, which platform we are working, and that particular platform I want to automate instead of executing the commands manually, or instead of actually doing the manual things I want to automate, then Python is the best language. And at other side, if you see the Python with the combination of some MVC tools, we can also use this to work with web development. Like for example, Instagram, it developed using with Python, right? So Python, if you see, it's not actually a snake name. So maybe if you think Python is a snake name, it's not a snake name. So Python, okay, now if we check here, like the history, so it actually invented in Netherlands early 1990s by Guido van Rossum. And then Guido van Rossum is fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. This is a famous TV show in Netherlands. So they named after Monty Python. So which means the name, it actually came from this TV show, Monty Python's Flying Circus. So he is actually in favor of that circus, Guido van Rossum, right? So it's an open source from the beginning. And if you check here, like Python, whether it is a scripting or programming, we can say both. So there are a lot of reasons behind that. It works actually, the first it compile and then later it actually interprets. So we will discuss those things later, but just we'll concentrate on the topic what we actually hear. And if you see the Python every year, like the survey conducting by PYPL, which is a popularity programming language index, and then source you can see from here. So every year, so this PYPL community they will actually conduct the survey, and which is the popular language means in the current market. Now, if we take this is actually the worldwide May 2023 record comparing a year ago, you can see Python share is 27.27. Second place is Java. So means Python is more popular. The only reason, as I told, Python we are using even for web development as well as we are using for the platform related. Let's say if you want to work with the data science, or if you want to work with the DevOps, or if you want to work with any administration or networking, everywhere Python is there. So that is the reason it is more popular, right? But why it is more popular? Why the people are using in every platform? Like if you see, for example, data analytics, 50% of people, web development, DevOps and system administrations. If you name it any platform, Python, it will be there. Now, if we check here, programming of web scraping, machine learning, educational purpose, everywhere actually people using this. So the reason is Python is very simple and it is very easy to write and it is very easy to understand. And then the simple thing we can say that like the module support here. So that's the reason if you see there are n number of companies using, right? So now if we check YouTube, actually YouTube share option it developed using with Python. Netflix using to search the movie name, also the HD quality related, it is using Python. Regular expressions more famous, right? So the reason is, let's say now for example, Google search engine also we are searching something, but how the name it is coming, the matching names and all, it's a regex generally. So the backend it applied actually the regular expressions. So it depends, like some people are using Python regex, some people are using other languages, but Python regular expressions are more famous to search and display the data. So example, Netflix, if you are searching some movie name like Azam, you are searching Bahubali. So if you just type BAHU, it is coming all the list of names. It is actually what regular expressions. So there are a number of people using, but here we are going to cover what is the importance of this Python to work with web scraping and to work with regular expressions and to work with AWS. So this particular thing we are going to concentrate. So if you observe like web scraping, so Python, it is popular for web scraping. So due to its simplicity and powerful libraries and versatility. So like, now if you check here, like I see every time I'm saying this modules, library support here. So what exactly the module is? So module is simply we can say it's a one Python file, which we use. Let's say now, for example, I want to work with something database, or I want to work with something web scraping, or I want to work with something AWS. There should be some communication between this platform and Python. For that, actually, we have already modules. So let's concentrate this now. First, we'll try to understand what exactly the module here. And before that, if you're not aware how to write Python script, so this is very simple to write Python script. We can write using with normal text editors, or we can write using with IDE. For example, we use Eclipse or we use a PyCharm, or we can use any other IDEs like Atom and all. At the same time, Linux operating system, if you want to write, we can use any text editor like VI, Nano, Pico editors, Emacs editor, ED editor, like that. Any text editors you can use here, Linux as well. First, let's see how to write simple Python code. So if you want to write a Python code using with a normal text editor, first of all, we should check Python, whether it actually installed or not. So I already installed, I have Python 3.8.5 version here. Now, see, I already created one folder. This is my workspace now. I'm just changing this location now. So cd change directory. And whenever if you're writing Python script, we use just .py extension, right? So I'm just creating a new file. Normal text editor I'm using. I'm not using any IDE. I'm just using normal text editor, Notepad++ I'm using. We can use Notepad or we can use Edit+, we can use Notepad++, any text editor. So Windows operating system, Python is not inbuilt. We need to download and install. So we can install from different sources, like either we can install from python.org, this is the official website for Python, or we can install from any Python distributions. So there are a lot of Python distributions available. The reason is Python is open source. So that is the reason there are a lot of distributions. We have Active State, we have Anaconda, we have a Chinese Python like that. There are a lot of distributions available. So any one of the distribution we can use to download Python. But I have downloaded from python.org. You can see simply like downloads, and then from here we can just click on this Python download. So once if you download and install the Python, we will get the version like this if you run the command python -V. So I'm getting it here, Python 3.8.5, so which I installed already. So now how to write a script. So the Python script extension is .py. So I'm using save as. Now you can see, let's say now sample I'm using just simple script sample.py I'm using, and save as type should be .py, and then save as type all types. And I want to print something, print hello world here. And then I just want to print hi Python. So there are 2 lines now. I want to just execute these 2 lines. You can open the command prompt, and then you can simply run here using with Python interpreter and then file name. Now, if you observe, I got output hello world and hi Python. The same thing we can also use any IDE. Let's say, for example, I'm using here PyCharm. So in the PyCharm, now see, this is my project here, means this is my workspace. I want to create a new file, Python file I'm creating. And then you can create, let's say now sample2 I'm just creating here. And then print, same thing, print. I just want to print what? Hello Python. I already installed IDE, which is PyCharm. I'm using this PyCharm now. And then I'm trying to run this sample2.py. Now you can see hello Python. So which means like we can use anything like a normal text editor, or we can use IDE to write the Python code. This is first step. And the second step here, since we are trying to understand these modules. So first of all, what is module? Module itself is a one .py extension. So what is the use of this module? As I told, like for example, if you want to search some data from website, we call it as a web scraping. So we use some modules like beautiful soap and request module. Let's say I want to work with something AWS SDK. Then we use a module name called AWS CLI or Boto3. So everything here, it is modules. In the real time, whenever if you are working with any platform, most of the times we work with modules here. So what exactly this module here now? As I told already, it's a just a .py extension. It's like a one Python file. But I want to understand how we can actually develop this module, because if you are good with how to develop your own module, and it is very easy to work with any platform. It can be a cloud, it can be a DevOps, it can be a data science, whatever. Only thing is we should aware of what is the module name for that platform. So if you see, there are 3 types of modules available. One is a built-in module. And the second one is user-defined modules, which is custom modules. And the third one is third-party modules. Third-party modules. So there are 3 types of modules available. Built-in modules. It comes with Python. If you install Python, by default, we will get with Python. Let's say, for example, I want to work with something like regular expressions. RE is a built-in module. Or let's say I want to run some command here in Linux operating system, or Windows also you can use. See, I'm using just Linux here. There is a Linux here. And I'm creating something just for Python. One folder I created because I'm going to write my scripts in this location now. Let's say now, for example, I want to run command pwd. I want to run command date. So if you want to run the commands in Python, it actually provided modules, OS module and subprocess module like that. But if you check this module, where this module is available, let's say I'm going to the interactive mode. I'm just trying to use import OS. I'm on Windows operating system now. And then if you check here, help of this OS, it will give you the documentation, how to use this module. And then if you go down end of the documentation, you can see the path here. So this is a module path, which is OS module. The OS module is a built-in module here. The built-in modules, if you see, the built-in modules available in this location, which is lib. That means I'm trying to find out where this built-in module is available first. So the built-in module available in this location, Python 38-32 under that lib folder. So if you go to this lib folder, you can see all the list of built-in modules and packages here. So now if you check, there is a module name called OS. It is a built-in module. It is coming with Python. There is a module called RE. It's a built-in module coming with Python. So the same way, there are some third-party modules. As I told now, for example, I want to install some module for cloud AWS. This module is not a built-in module. All the third-party modules available in the repository called pypi.org. So this is a Python repository. Anyone can actually register and upload the modules, but there should not be like duplicates. If you check here, the repository having 81,68,229 files available. So which means this pypi is nothing but what the Python package index is, a repository of software for Python programming language. So all the third-party modules available here in this repository, which is pypi.org. When you want to, like, for example, okay, if you want to install some module, third-party module, for example, as I told, AWS related, we use something AWS CLI, or we use a Boto3. So these modules we will not get by default. The reason is Python simply says that, okay, I'm not sure whether you work with cloud or not. But why OS module is giving? Because everyone, it is required sometimes maybe to run some operating system command. It is required for every platform people. RE module is providing by default because to search some data from the file, it is required. It is common for everyone. But now here, AWS is optional because we're not sure whether we are going to use Python for AWS for every platform. It depending on the platform, what actually the platform they are working, right? So that's the reason we will not get by default these modules, but we can install these modules separately. Same way, web scraping, we will not get by default. Really, if you want to search some data from website, okay, we can install the module. But how to install? It's a very simple step. We use pip install and then module name here. That's it. Now, for example, see here, I'm trying to install from the command prompt pip install and the module name, let's say AWS CLI, I want to install. Just enter. Whenever if you are installing the module, try to understand internally it is checking, internally it is connecting to the repository. So the repository is pypi, and then from there actually it is trying to install this module. Now, if you check now, for example, I have installed this AWS CLI, we can verify the AWS CLI now like this, import AWS CLI. Or we can also verify, like since we actually install using with pip, we can also check with the pip and view and then module name. It will display the module, like if you in case if you install using with pip, then only we can check that using with pip view, and we can see the module name whether it is successfully installed or not. But generally best practice, we go to the interactive mode and then we verify import and then module name which we install. If we check now help of AWS CLI, this module, it actually installed under lib site-packages, which means what, all the third-party packages or third-party modules, whatever the modules we are installing from the repository, by default, it is actually installing under site-packages. Like that, we can verify. So the reason why we need to verify, because whenever if you are using import module name, it will first verify in the present working directory whether this module available or not. If module is not available, it will go to the lib folder. That is a built-in modules path. If module not found in the lib folder, then it will go to the site-packages and it will check that module. So that is how the module search path. It will first check in current working directory. If it is not available, it will go to the lib folder. If it is not available, then it will go to the site-packages. So now here, if you see how actually we can use this module, let's try to understand. Just I'll write one simple module. I'm just writing vi something arithmetic.py, some module I'm writing. But if you are aware of already Python, then you can understand this, because we are only concentrating on the modules, especially working with this AWS and web scraping. Let's see now. So arithmetic.py I'm just writing, and I'm just trying to write df, and then something like sum of x comma y I'm writing here. Sum of x comma y, and I want to write some documentation as well. So this is some function, right? This is some function, and I'm just writing it returns sum of x comma y, or sum of x plus y I'm writing. And then I'm just trying to return here, return x. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to write another function called sub of x comma y. And I'm just writing some documentation, which is a doc string. This is a sub function here. And if you want to write, it returns sub of x minus y. Right? And then I'm just writing return x minus y here. So simple, like see, I just created a simple file which is arithmetic.py. I'm treating this as a one module. And if you want to import this, there are two syntaxes generally we use. So how to use module? Try to understand how to use the module. Any module, it is same, whether it is a built-in module or user-defined module. User-defined module is nothing but custom module, which I just created here. This is a custom module. I created my own module. Or if you install third-party module using with pip, any module, the properties if you want to use, we use two syntaxes. One is import module name, and the second one is from module import property name. These two syntaxes we use. And if you are using import module name, then we can access module name dot property name. This is how actually we do. And if you are using the second syntax from module import property name, we can directly access property name here. Now let's see here. I'm just trying to go with the two syntaxes one by one. From first one, import module name. So the advantage with import module name, if I'm using arithmetic, every time we should actually use arithmetic dot property name. So which means it will only check from this arithmetic module that exact property whether it is available or not. It will not check locally. It will only check from the arithmetic. But if you want to see what are the properties available, so we simply use dir of module name. So when we use dir of module name, it will give you all the property list. Or I want to see the documentation about this module, then you can use help of module name. Now check here, I'm using dir of arithmetic. Now you can see by default we will get some built-ins, but if we check the properties which we created sub and sum, it is available. But I want to see help of arithmetic now. So help, it will give you documentation about this module. Now we can see we already developed some documentation while writing the module. You can see the sub is a function. This is a sub function. It returns sub of x minus y. Sum is a function. It returns sum of x plus y. So these functions we created and then we developed this documentation. But while writing the documentation, if you observe everything we created between a 3 double quotes. So this is basically comments. When you execute the code, it will not, but when we see the help of module name, we can see that documentation here. So this is how we can write a documentation. But if you are using dir of module name, it is giving the properties of that module. But I want to use some property. So how we use the first syntax, we discussed that module name dot property name. So you can simply use arithmetic dot the property name sum of 10, 20 ambit. Now you can see you will get the output that. The same way, if you want to use sub, we can use just sub here and it's 10. But we cannot directly use sum of 10, 20 when we import module name, then module name dot property name. It should be like that. Or we can create alias name, import module as, for example, arith. I created alias name and then through alias you can access now. But module name is mandatory. What alias we created, that alias name we should use, arith.sum I'm using. But if you want to access the property directly, then from module import property name. So which means what? From arithmetic and then import, let's say I want to import only sum. In this case now, only the property sum we can actually use. So sum of 10, 20, it works. But sub of 10, 20, it will not. The reason is I have imported only one property. So the advantage with this, instead of importing entire module object, we just imported one particular property and we are using it. So the same thing you can write in the script file as well, right? So let's say now this is arithmetic.py. If you want, you can see I'm going to write the same thing Windows as well. So there is no difference. Python is a platform independent. So you can write the same code on Windows or any across all the platforms, in similar thing. Let's now see here. I am trying to save it. And then I have this arithmetic.py here. So I'm going to use my script file, the same thing now. So I'm commenting these two lines and I'm going to import arithmetic. And then what? Let's say S1 equal to arithmetic dot sum of 10, 20. And then I want to print here sum of 10 and 20 is something like this. You can use now S1. So now if I run the code, see, while using this text pad, the text editor, we can execute from the command prompt. So I'm executing now sample.py. Now we can see the output sum of 10 and 20 is 20. The same code we can actually execute using with PyCharm. The same code we can also use using with any other IDs. Okay, so here we understood actually what is model and how to use the model. Now, if you want to work with something web scraping, we should actually find out what is the model we use for the web scraping. For that, we should actually verify. Good question. So the custom models where we actually create. As I told already, whenever if you are searching for model, right? So module search path. So first, actually, it is checking whenever if you import any module, it is checking first in the present working directory. If module is not available, it is checking in the lib folder. If module is not available, it is checking in the site-packages. It is based on sys module. So if you are aware of sys module, so basically what sys module, it is actually checking internally the module search path where need to check like that. But I'm not going to explain the sys module and all, that is different story. But in general, it will check in the present working directory. If module is not available, it will check in the lib module, so lib folder, not available, then it will check site-packages. So when we write our custom module, in general, we write in our present working directory. This is actually, we call it as so let's say now this is my present working directory. This is my source code available in this location. We call it as this is project folder. So generally we develop our own modules in the present working directory, which means where we are writing our Python code in the same location we actually create. But let's say, for example, this module in my system, everyone should use, maybe from different location. If they want to access, then okay, you can also copy that module in the lib folder, or you can also copy that module in the site-packages. But generally best practice, we create in our present working directory where we are writing the scripts in the same location. Okay, but wherever you want, you can also write it, means in the lib or in the site-package as well. So hope it is clear, Sam. Okay. Anyway, we'll discuss doubts again. So now we just understood what is model and how to use the model. But now the question is, let's say now I want to work with some specific platform like web scraping. So we should find out what is the model name for web scraping. So we should search here. So that is something Python plus web scraping. If you search Python plus web scraping here, so we will actually get the model names. We'll get the model names. So what is the model name for Python web scraping? You can see beautiful soap it is saying. So we can actually get like this the first time when you search something like one particular platform, what is the model name we are using that particular platform? So if you search for Python web scraping, we will get actually beautiful soap is a one model, and the other model is request model here. So one is the model name is beautiful soap and the other model is request. So here it is. Now if you check, we have a beautiful soap here to extract the specific information, whatever you want from the HTML content. So the web scraping models, we are using request model to connect the API, and to get the data from the website, we use beautiful soap. So why web scraping is used? Now you can see there are a lot of reasons we can say. Let's say now if you want to compare some prices, we know generally, let's say now for example, if you want to buy some product, let's say mobile, I want to buy Samsung latest version. So what generally we do, we search in Google and then we compare from the different e-commerce websites, maybe like Amazon, Flipkart, and some other websites. But how we will get that price comparisons between these websites? So basically internally that is a web scraping. So comparison between the different e-commerce websites, it is collecting the data and then it is comparing it. And then email address gathering, social media scraping, research and development, job listing. This all the environments actually we are using this web scraping. I'll show you some examples also. But for web scraping, what we understood, we actually should use some third-party modules. The third-party modules available in the repository PyPI. Now, if you check, for example, here, I have some script here, for example, for web scraping. I'm using request module and beautiful soap module. We know how to use these modules. We understood the syntaxes. And I'm just showing you simple example for web scraping. First, try to understand. So I have a SkillUpRight. So we are attending the seminar using with SkillUpRight. This is my URL now. And in this URL, what is the title actually? This URL, what is the exact title? So means if you see the SkillUpRight, there are a lot of content in this website. But I want to see only in the website, the backend, what is the title actually they define for this website? Now, if you go to the inspect or view page source, if you search something here based on the title, so title here. So this is a HTML tag, HTML content. I'm actually trying to search something title. Now, maybe we will get this title here. Yeah. Oh, there are 256 tags it matched. So it is difficult to find out, right? So the best practice, let's say now, see, HTML tag, we are going to get it. So if you see HTML, if you're aware, backslash we can use. Like backslash. I'm going to just search something like this, title. So my requirement is here. What is the title actually here in the website it is using? It is taking a lot of time to get that keyword. Yeah, so now we can see this. It's not backslash, it's a forward slash. So there is a title started, and there is a title called IT training, pipe, SkillUpRight, then pipe Bangalore, and then title it ended. So this is the exact title actually this website is using. So I want to search this complete content from this website, and I want to only just display this title now. So as we discussed, we use a request module to connect the website to API connection generally, and then beautiful soap module we are using to search from this content to get the exact specific key. But for that now, if you see, we are using URL here, and then we discuss the syntaxes import request from BS4 import beautiful soap. What is the meaning for these syntaxes? We discussed already. There are two ways we can use the modules. I'm using first style, and here I'm using the second style, syntaxes, which we just discussed. And if you see the module help, actually, if you go to the Python interactive mode and then import, and then you can just randomly check this request module and try to understand these modules are not built-in modules. These modules are third party. You should install this using with pip space install space request. And the same way, pip space install space BS4 you can install. then only you can able to use this. Okay, so I'm using request here. And then if you check here, dir of requests, then there are something properties here. There is a one property called get. So I want to get this URL connectivity, and then I should get the response from this URL, and also try to understand the web scraping. Like, we cannot communicate each and every website like that. There should be some authentications also, and it's not generally best practice directly to connect any website. We should get the permissions also. Let's say if you are connecting some specific security websites and all, we cannot go and collect the data from there. So that is also one thing need to, because there are a lot of sensitive data, it will be there. So we should know those things. Okay, now if you check here, I'm using just get. So get is actually one property to get the response from the website. And then later see beautiful soap is one property from the BS4. And then we are just using the HTML parser, and we are trying to get only the title. There is option called variable name, whatever the data I'm getting, I'm assigning to the complete data into this variable. I don't want to print the complete data. I want to print only wherever the title matches, only just title. But the title, what we actually understood here, there is a something IT training, SkillUpRight, Bangalore. This is the title actually. Let's see this output, what it is giving. So I'm trying to get from this website directly with Python code. Yeah, now I can see here, it is actually collecting the same content from there. So if you see from this title, actually it collected the data, exactly this particular text. Let's say now the same way, for example, this is just a simple understanding, the simple exercise, right? Let's say, for example, the same way, I want to get some all the mobile information, maybe mobile model, the model of the mobile and something price of the mobile from the Flipkart. Or let's say I want to get some laptop, all the list of laptop companies, and then the price of that list I want to get it. See, this everything it is possible with this web scraping. Now, if you check here, same models I am using request and beautiful soap. And this URL we should know, like what is this URL? I searched actually in the Google and I found the URL just to get all the list of laptops. See here, this is a Flipkart. So in the Flipkart, this is the site actually. This is the site actually getting all the laptops and popularity laptops, list of laptops available here. And we are just copying this URL path, and then I'm using this URL path here, and then I'm trying to search this laptop names, and maybe like I want to get something prices. Also, if you want to get the rating, what is the rating of this? Based on that, we can actually select the product, right? So based on review and rating like that. This is one thing. And the other thing, for example, there are some mobile list. I want to see all the mobile list here. And again there is another website here to get all the mobiles. So we should first get the list, like where that URL is. So I mean, see, if you check, there is a mobiles list here. Is all the mobile list available in this URL. For example, if you see now, I want to get this all the list of mobiles and with some price. Now, if you check here, we are using the same models, beautiful soap and request model, which we already discussed. And what is the URL? And to get the response from the URL, we are using request.get. So this is creating one variable response. And then beautiful soap we are using to get the HTML parser, means HTML. We know, like if you go and open this website here, view source. Yeah. Maybe you can see even inspect as well. So we will get all the list of price list and everything. There will be some tags here. We can find out from this. But from there, what I'm trying to do now, I'm actually trying to get some class, some name here. I'm just searching, find all I'm using, and then I'm searching this, and I want to print only find wherever something like the model and then prices matches. I want to display that. So I have assigned to the variables, and then I'm trying to get it. Now, if you check web scrap 4, I'm using. Now we can see all the list of model Samsung Galaxy and then what is the price and then everything I'm getting from this website. But let's say I don't want to display this here. I want to write in the maybe Excel sheet or something CSV file. That is also possible. You can just write one more additional module. If you want to write CSV, you can use CSV module. Or if you want to write Excel and Excel writer, you can use, and then our pandas we can use to write the data. So now if you see everything same, but only thing is we are creating one file name mobile_phones.csv, and we are writing the data into that file here instead of printing on the command prompt. So let's try to execute this here. I'm trying to execute this file, and then if you just check data saved to mobile phones.csv. So just now it created 348, and then if you open this file, you can see all the data it should actually create. Now you can see the model of this, and you can see the price of this. So this is just for our understanding, like how we are using the models, right? So we discussed already what is model, how to write our own model, and then how to use any third party model. Same concept. Let's say now, for example, if you want to work with AWS, 1 hour is not sufficient, right? But we are trying to understand the concepts. Let's say now I want to work with something AWS. I told there are two models we use, which is actually AWS CLI, and then we use actually Boto3. Boto3 is a very famous model to work with AWS. Now we can see Python can be used to interact with AWS services using the AWS SDK for Python Boto3. So Boto3 is the Amazon Web Services Software Development Kit, SDK. And then like if you want to work with any services, we can actually use this. How to install, we know pip install, Boto3 can install. Same way you can install pip install and then AWS CLI as well to execute like a command line. You can use that. And what is like use of Boto3? Now we can see automating AWS resource management. Like any AWS instances, instead of going to the console, I'll show you here, for example. This is my console. I already connected to the AWS console. So if you see now, I have actually like instances. I already stopped, all the instances stopped. There are 3, 6, 7 instances stopped actually. So I use this for Ansible. But now let's say, for example, I don't want to actually open this console, but I want to start new instance, or I want to create a new instance, new city instance. Let's say now I want to see something. What are the, for example, S3 is there. So we know S3 like here, like I just want to check this S3 and what are the like, you know, the S3 names, what are the buckets available. I want to see how many buckets here it is available. I want to check. Same way, I want to see what are the EC2 instances available. And then I want to stop that instance, start the instances. You name it, any service we can do with Python with Boto3. So that's the reason if you check building the serverless applications, processing the data, building chart box, everything we can do with this Boto3 here. I hope you are aware, like ChatGPT also one AI tool, it is developed using with Python. Now, if you check here, for example, let's see this simple code here using with this Boto3. So what is the step? We need to install Boto3. So I have already installed. How to install? You can just use pip install and then Boto3 here. It will try to collect from the repository pypi.org. and then it will install that. One single command we use, that's it. And then once it install, and then you can check whether it installed or not, you can just go to import Boto3. You can see if you're not getting any error, which means this module is already installed. Let's say now I'm using Boto3, dir of Boto3, and you can see there are a lot of actually properties available. So it takes a lot of time to understand these properties. Before that, we should also know the cloud knowledge, AWS knowledge. Then only we can understand this each and everything here. But I'm just giving you overview how to use this, right? So if you observe here, there are a lot of actually the properties. One is the resources, one is a client, like that we have. So most of the times we use client and we use resource to communicate this AWS. I'll show you some code here. For example, okay. For example, see now the cloud related. Let's say first I want to just check what are the S3 buckets available. All the buckets list I want to print. There are two ways we communicate this. If you observe here, if you go to these properties here, so security credentials. In the security credentials, if you check, I have already created, like I have actually the you can see I have access key here. I created 26 days ago. Now, if you check this access key, if you want to directly communicate from this mission, how actually it understands, right? You should configure that. If you try to configure AWS configure, use this command, and then it will ask AWS access key. Now check here, there is a AWS access key. This is the access key. And we should provide that access key. I have here, let's say this is my access key here. So there are two ways I'm saying. One, if you don't want to provide the access key and the secret access key every time in the script, then you should actually set up this. See, this is the access key for my credentials, and then it is asking secret access key. So we should actually provide that secret access key as well. So this is the one I am using currently. And then you can see the reason name. If you want to change, you can change, our default one you can use, or the file format here. You can write a JSON or text format. So by default, it's actually the text format. But if you are providing something JSON, then it will take in a JSON format. But okay, I just provided this. But where we can see this all the configuration information. If you go to this C drive, it actually like created under users, under my username, you can see .aws credentials. It actually configured everything here. This is the credentials. So if you do this one time, and then while writing the script file, you don't need to use this access key and then secret access key. Directly we can communicate that AWS, and then we can execute whatever the thing we want to do. But what is the model we are using? Boto3. I'm using resource, or you can use client as well. So I'm using resource here, boto3.resource. I'm not using the default access. I'm providing explicitly access key and then secret access key and then reason name. And then I'm trying to get all the list of S3 buckets, whatever running here, right? So now if you check, S3 bucket name is my test Linux 1.2. Let's see whether it is same or not. So S3 here. Yeah, there is a my test Linux 1.2. Yeah, it is same my test Linux 1.2. It is printing. So this is how like you can actually use. Let's say now, for example, if you want to work with some other services, let's say EC2. I want to get all the what are the services currently it is, means what are the EC2 instances available, whether it is actually stopped services or even running services. Let me start one service here. For example, I'm just going to start this service, or we can also write the code to start this, but let just started it. You know, if you observe now, so still it is in pending state. Let me show you just. Okay, if you observe the code here, here also I am providing the access key and all, and I'm trying to get the first script we already discussed. But the second one, if you check here, I'm using this object dot resource. What resource I want to check EC2 now. So you can provide the service, what service you are using. I want to check EC2. And then it creates an object, and from the object here, we have instances dot all. So for this, all the documentation, see everything I actually searched from the documentation only. We can see the documentation for the Boto 3 here. So there are a lot of properties available for each and every service. So we should actually get the service from this service. Let's say now, if you want to work with EC2, you just need to check here and then get how to actually use the EC2 and then what is the options available. Everything we are going to check from this documentation. Okay, now if you see here, actually I have started this, the EC2 instance, and I'm trying to execute this code now, which is actually the test2.py. It will show you how many instances, EC2 instances available, and what are the running status and what are the stopped status. See, so one is actually running, the remaining all stopped here. Also, I got this actually using with actually EC2.describe instances. I'm getting that instances as well here. But everything we need to check that options, and through that options only we can do this all the things. Let's say now, for example, if you don't want to provide the secret key and all, see now, as I told, if you set up that configure, and then you don't need to provide this secret key, access key, and the secret key here, we can directly use this Boto 3 like this. So this is something like I want to just start one new instance. So now if you check, there is a EC2 instance, and then you should provide the image ID and then instance type, min count, max count, how many images, how many instances you want to start, and then security group ID, everything we should copy from here. So if you check, I have copied. Let's say now, if you see the code here, there is a AMI, there is a image ID, right? So the image ID, maybe if you check here, like go to connect. Sorry. Yeah, so from here we will get that. This is the image ID. And you can see, for example, if you go to the security groups, I copied from this. The reason is what I want to just, I provided some details, and the same style, I want to start one new instance. Now, if you check here, what are the current running services here, like or stopped services? We can see the total 7 we have, 7 instances. Now, I'm going to execute this code, and then you can see it will actually start a new instance here. Python test4.py. If you hit enter, immediately it actually it will start here. Let me refresh. Yeah, now I can see it is started one. It is in pending state. But you know, like we know in Linux shell scripting also, if you want to run some specific job, if there is some execution delay, we use a sleep command, like I want to wait for some time, like that. But here, if you provide a sleep command like that, sleep off sometime, that is also possible. But sleep, if you are providing, we are not sure, like based on the network and all, it will take some time to start this instance. So that is the reason it actually provided one option called wait option. Now, if you see waiter.wait, what is this wait option? It will keep on check that instance started or not, started or not. If it started, then simply it will come out from that, and then the next statement it executed. So until then, it will keep on wait here. Now you can see new EC2 instance started. If you want, you can just rename that. Let's say new EC2 I started just now, like this. Whatever the name, if you want, you can write it. But everything it is based on the modules. So the module, we should aware what is the module, how to write and how to install. Also, we should aware of the platform knowledge, as well as we should aware of the Python knowledge. So that is how actually we can use it. So hope it is clear now. So if you see the like content in the coming sessions, like coming training, what we are going to cover. So this is the like content we are going to cover here. So we will start with Python basics. Let's just go with brief 1 or 2 minutes. We'll start with Python basics first. We'll try to understand the introduction and then how to write Python script on Windows as well as Linux. And then we'll see Python basics, conditional statements, loops, everything, and then data structures, working with the variables, especially like collections like list and tuple, dictionary, and set variables like that one by one. And Python built-in functions, how to work with that. And standard libraries, working with OS model, sys model, CSV, date, time, and time models. And then we will see functions deep dive, how to work with functions, how to create our own function, these are the things. And working with file operations, and also working with lambda, map, filter, these all the things, errors and exception handling. And then advanced Python, we are going to work with modules deep dive. We'll see deep dive how to work with modules, and then how to create our own packages, custom packages. Most of the time we work with custom modules, custom packages. At the same time, how to use the built-in modules and how to use the third-party modules like platform related. Just now we discussed some modules like that. And then working with object-oriented programming deep dive. And then what is iterators, generators, decorators, these are the things. Working with the databases like SkillUpRight, and then also like MySQL, Oracle, how to work with these, all the databases. And regular expressions deep dive we will discuss. And also we will cover DevOps automation, working with something like if you want to automate Linux administration, how we can do that. For that, we need some RSCSA knowledge. So complete end-to-end we are going to cover. And working with cloud, especially AWS, CLI, Boto 3 modules, everything deep dive we are going to discuss here. And the same way, working with databases, as we just discussed, MySQL and Oracle we are going to cover. And if you are already aware of Ansible, Ansible actually totally written in Python, right? So how we can actually see that modules, Python modules, and how we can write our own modules, these are the things. And web scraping, complete end-to-end, we are going to cover this. And JSON modules, working with Pandas, Matplotlib, REST API, and automating development pipelines with Python and Jenkins. And some projects also we are going to cover in this training. So the training, it's actually 40 days. So for that, actually, you can check with Vinay also. For the complete details, you will get from the executives. Okay. So it's open for questions now. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So that will just respond. Thank you, Raghu. Thank you. Thank you for that. So anyone, any questions here? You can just. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you. Yeah, you can actually check with like our admin team will contact you for that upcoming training. You will get the update from our admin team. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Okay, $11 fail. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing only thank you messages. Like I'm not seeing any questions here. Maybe how does we are able to scrap WZO? What is WZO? Okay, sure. So many people actually hurry to leave because there is some other schedule. Thank you all then. So we will connect again. So you just contact for the upcoming training. You will get update from admin as well. Thank you all then. Have a great day. We'll stop today and then we'll connect later. We can scrap all the website as well. But again, as I told that all the permissions we should validate and then based on that we can do it. Yeah. Thank you then. Have a great day. Bye.